So be brave. Be just. Be tall.
Game of Thrones was not just the best television series I've watched, but was one of the best pieces of media I've been entertained by in my life. It had action, romance, fantasy, politics, and one of the best qualities of what made Game of Thrones special were its characters. From season 1 to 4, nobody can say that this was a bad series, and that the build up to characters like the Starks, the Lannisters, and the Targaryens would have an amazing payoff at the end. Then season 5 to 7 happened and everyone was like, okay. And then season 8 happened and everybody was pissed, including myself. But the failed Game of Thrones in the end were the characters that we've been following for almost a decade weren't the characters anymore, but were more of a caricature. The end results were unsatisfying from the story, characters, and results, and even production, surprisingly. D&D wanted the bag, rushed the story, and left to use their Game of Thrones fame to do something else, which I'm happy they didn't. So ever since the series ended with Game of Thrones, I felt an empty, glaring space as a TV watcher. Night of the Seven Kingdoms brought back my spirit of Game of Thrones in that empty space. As y'all know, Game of Thrones have 2 spin-offs that are out. The 3 seasons, including the one coming up of House of the Dragon and A Night of the Seven Kingdoms. House of the Dragon was more about the Targaryens and how they slowly faded after years of ruling Westeros. The first season was great because they let you understand the characters like Rhaenyra, Alicent, Daemon, and Verces. But in season 2, and I will say some of season 1, as much as I like the characters we follow, I didn't get that same attachment to those characters as I did with characters in Game of Thrones. All of them are very flawed and some are close to being unlikable. Fans keep saying Team Rhaenyra and Team Alicent. Bro, I'm thinking, forget about them. Cersei's sister, Rhaenyra, should have got it. House of the Dragon is everything on a surface level people would want. They got dragons, more lore, and everything means something. But what I got out of it after watching 2 seasons of House of the Dragon was that it's cool, but I'm really not attached to anybody as I wanted to. So my pessimistic self heard about Night of the Seven Kingdoms, and I'm like, HBO just trying to get a bag and squeeze any content from Mr. George R.R. Martin. Also, I saw the runtime being 30 to 40 minutes and said to myself, okay, something is wrong with the show because Game of Thrones runtime is never like this. But obviously I'm a fan of Thrones, so I was going to watch it regardless. After the first episode of A Night of the Seven Kingdoms, not only was I wrong, I was hooked and rewarded for following the next 5 episodes. It's crazy that a show with less runtime, no big CGI dragon, and end of the world plot have made me care about Westeros this much since season 6 of Game of Thrones, honestly. No families ruling or about a savior that's chosen, just a regular guy in Westeros who's living his life and just wants to be an honorable knight. Dunk is one of our main characters and he just wants to be a knight to honor his mentor Arlen of Pennytree, who just died. Dunk meets this kid Egg, who is his squire, and they just go off to town to prove Dunk's worth as a knight in Westeros. Again, what made me love watching A Night of the Seven Kingdoms were the characters and their development. There are so many characters that I just love watching, such as Lionel Baratheon, who's the ruler of the Baratheon family in Storm's End, and the party boy. Raymond Fossaway, who's the little cousin of the knight, and is a very good person. The Targaryen family we are introduced to, from Baelor, who's a very good-hearted prince that's about to be king, the brother Maker, and to Maker's terrible son. But the 2 characters, Sir Duncan and Egg, made me fall in love with the world of Westeros again. Remember, during the earlier seasons of Game of Thrones, while the Lannisters were causing havoc across Westeros, we would just be hanging out with Arya, and she be with a shameless knight like Sandor Clegane to the honorable ones like Brienne of Tarth. That's basically the dynamic between Dunk and Egg throughout the season. Dunk, since Superman, is one of the most good-hearted characters I have seen, in a while. While Dunk goes into town, you will see everybody being rude to him when he's announced himself as a hedge knight. But no matter what, Dunk always speaks honestly to a fault and makes sure, as a knight, he always makes the honorable decisions. The interesting thing about the character Egg is that he's the opposite of Dunk, from being young, impressionable, to the reveals we'll get from his character to make you realize he's the total opposite from Dunk. But Egg keeps Dunk on his feet with his knowledge of the Seven Kingdoms and his assistance. A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, from the music, the comedy, the settings, the colors, and the amazing characters we are introduced to, made this show special. It was wholesome to see regular people in the world of Westeros doing the right thing instead of backdooring people. When I see two characters just talking, revealing their ideology and dreams, I realized that this is what was missing from the last few seasons of Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon. It wasn't the reward that made us commit to the world of Westeros, but the journey that kept us engaged and wondering. As cool as it is to see ice zombies fighting or seeing dragons fly and breathe out fire, I miss seeing characters just walking around and sitting to fully grasp why I want to follow these characters and root for them. I'm happy we are getting a second season of the Knight of the Seven Kingdoms next year, and that's exciting. I just hope future creators see what Mr. George R.R. Martin and Arya Parker is doing and keep the momentum going with this universe.